Today we are going to be talking about SSD drives and how to navigate buying one in 2026. Currently there are a lot of different types of SSDs for sale, and you want to make sure with how expensive SSD drives are that you get one that's going to last you a long time and be fast enough to fit all of your different needs. The very first thing you need to consider when buying an SSD drive is what size of a drive are you looking for? Are you looking for a 1TB, a 2TB, or a 4TB drive? The size of the drive goes hand in hand with what style of work you are doing. So if you're editing photos, you might only need a 1TB SSD, whereas if you are editing high quality 4K or maybe even 6K video, you might need a 4TB drive to be able to hold all of that footage. For me, even though I'm only shooting on an Osmo Pocket 3 and Osmo Nano, because of how much I shoot, I still decided to go with a 4TB drive. Now that we've decided what size of SSD drive we want based off of the work that we're going to be doing, now we can actually go look at drives. And when it comes to SSD drives that are 4TB and smaller, there's really only two companies that I recommend, and that's Samsung and Sandisk. Both of these companies make excellent SSD drives. Samsung makes the T7 and T9 series, the T9 being the faster one, and Sandisk makes their Extreme Pro series, both the new version and the old version. Before I go any further, I do want to clarify that I have used both brands of SSDs extensively. So anything in my personal life, whether that be a passion project of mine or a YouTube video, I'm using my Samsung T9 SSD. And anything at work that doesn't require the server, so any smaller transfers under 2TB or less, I'm using a Sandisk Extreme Pro older version of the SSD. So I have used both sides of the SSD world. Like I said before, both Samsung and Sandisk make an excellent SSD drive. Now there are pros and cons to each brand. A pro of the Samsung is it's a little bit bigger, and because it's a little bit bigger, with their T7 and T9 series, it does a little bit better with heat dissipation and is more consistent and a little bit faster in their read and write speeds compared to the SSDs that Sandisk makes. One of the pros of owning a Sandisk drive is that they are significantly smaller and thinner than a Samsung drive. So at work, if I need 12TB of space and I need it now, I can just take 3 4TB SSD drives from Sandisk, throw them in a bag, and still feel like I haven't used any space, which is amazing. One thing I do want to mention is after you've decided what size you want and what brand you're going with, now the question is, do I go with the older version or the newer version, or the T7 or the T9? And this is an important question to ask yourself. For me, because I'm constantly shooting video, I was like, I'm going to spend the extra $150 because it was like $850 for the T7 4TB, and it was like $1,050, $1,025, something like that for the T9. And I was like, I'm gonna spend the extra $175, $200 to get the nicer, faster drive, because in 3 or 4 years when I have a new camera, I need a drive that will still match that and I can still edit footage off of that drive. So just think about that as you're making this decision, because I realize that, you know, when you're talking anywhere from $600 to $1,000 for a drive, an extra $150 does make a difference, but you have to think about the future and where you're going to be in 3 or 4 years, and if you're going to be still using that drive. Because for me, I knew it was a guarantee that I'm most likely going to be using the drive, so I went with the T9 and spent a little bit more money. Either way you go, it's going to be a phenomenal drive. Those are the two brands and two versions I really recommend. Here's a chart that I made for you guys that compares all 4 drives. So you have the Samsung T7 and T9, and then you also have the Sandisk old version and the new version. Feel free to pause the video and look at all of the differences between the 4 drives as you make your decision on what drive you will be getting. I hope this video helped you navigate how to buy an SSD in 2026. And honestly, I would buy sooner rather than later. Because of the stress that AI is putting on the SSD market, prices of these drives will only continue to increase. Now that being said, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your night, and I will see you guys in the next video.